Welcome back to Spirit Spells and Magic. In this episode, it is part 2 of our Book of Shadows. The part 1 is already up for your viewing if you haven't seen it. On the end of part 1, we finished up spray painting our cover in gloss black, so as we could cover up all the little areas where we had mismatched colours. And once we were finished this, we also got to finishing our bookbinding, threading the pages of our book into what we had was a little piece of canvas, and that was going to be then glue gunned into our spine of our book. So that's ready to go. Now, we've added a couple of extras to the book cover. We wanted to go with like a galaxy theme, so I enlisted the help of my daughter, and she created a little spiral nebula at the front. And we basically built up over the top of the black in blues and purple and a little bit of pink here and there, just so as that where we had cardboard and where we had contact was kind of all one colour. As you can see here, some parts are shiny and some parts are matte. Even though we went over it with the gloss paint, the cardboard kind of absorbed all of the paint once it was sprayed over it. So we had to remedy this by building up the layers of paint. And we did a pretty good job, I think. But basically doing like a layer of colours over the top of each other and blending them in until we found that most of the cover was coloured in our new paint job, which formed our galaxy scene and was really the theme that I was going for the outside cover. Another thing we had to make sure was that we blended the colours over the spine of the cover and onto the back, so that both front and back had the same kind of galaxy look about them. We wanted to make sure that they weren't stark different. So we had to make sure that whatever colours we kind of blended in the front, we made sure we blended them in the back as well. And then we hung it over to our clothesline to dry. Painting is always a thing we like to do as a family, so wherever I can enlist the help of my daughter and my partner, I use them to the max. And here we are back inside, ready drying the outside of the cover, just to make sure that when we do our next step we don't get paint all over our hands. And later on we're going to get some kind of like gloss spray to go over the whole thing, just so as we don't have bits of the paint coming off on our hands when we try and open it. But here we are attaching, we had a bit of bandage and we rolled up bits of bandage. Other people used tissue paper. We didn't have any of that at the time, so we thought we'll use some bandage that we're not using, that you'd normally just wrap around your leg if it was sprained or something like that. And we formed a circle, and the aim was to put a pentacle on the front. So we glued the circle down first and then rolled up other little pieces that were going to form our star. But it does take a little while to make sure that all bits are properly stuck down. You don't want anything kind of lifting up later on when you're using the book. Otherwise you're going to have to get that glue gun back out again and start gluing. And when you're pressured for time like I am, you only really want to be doing something once if you can help it. Now we're at the point now putting our last little strand of our pentacle together. There might be a couple of areas that need to be trimmed. Whatever design that you make sure that you kind of plan ahead what you're going to do. It's always good to draw it down first before you start sticking away with the glue gun, because it's very unforgiving and you may not be able to get the pieces off without tearing and ripping at your paint job. So definitely plan out what you're going to design for your front cover if you're going to have anything at all. It may even be easier just to glue something directly on rather than trying to make a symbol yourself. And here we are touching up our emblem on the front. Once we stuck it down, we wanted to make sure, we didn't want to leave it white, so we decided we'd paint over the top of it black, and then we're going to enhance it a little bit more. But at this point, we're just spray painting just to make it a black to match with the background of the cover. And we had to put a cardboard in front so we didn't mess up our cover where we've already painted as well. So that was to protect the rest of the cover. But after a while that was finished and we had it ready. What we're going to do, there was a little bit of area that we'll have to touch up around the pentacle that just got a little bit of splash on it, but that's okay, we can touch that up quite easy. And it's looking good so far. Now we decided we would go over the pentacle with silver to give it kind of like a metallic look or a metal look, kind of like your old grandmother's brooch being attached to the front of it, or maybe like the book from Neverending Story, if you know that one, where they've got like the Ouroboros, the snake eating itself on the front there. But it's all trial and error as well. So we decided we'd put a little bit of silver over the top of the pentacle. We can see that there's a little bit of we've touched the cover where we probably should have put that cut out over the front of it, but that's okay. We just got our original colours back again and touched up where we'd gone over with the silver. We went over with the black and just made sure that we covered where those little errors were. And then from here we decided to try and enhance the galaxy theme again by splashing a little bit of light blue and white over the front, and that helped us kind of make it look like there's some stars and things like that on the front. But it was a fun process, and it's, as I said, trial and error to see what looks good and what you wouldn't do next time. But learn from my mistakes if you can. But yeah, it's coming together quite nicely at the minute, and there's still a bit more to do. Here we have the end result of our painting, and it's now dried. We've also got a little embellishment that I'm going to have kind of poking over the edge of the spine once it's all completed. And I've also got, in the same ribbon, a bookmark so that I can leave a bookmark in the page. I probably could have done with a bigger ribbon, but they both look nice. I've got my sticky tape and the hot glue gun almost ready to go. Once we've secured down our bookmark and the embellishment, we should be ready to start hot gluing the rest of it in. But it's important to make sure that when you're putting your bookmark or little embellishment in the cover, to give yourself a bit of room from the top to make sure that you've got quite a bit of the ribbon glued down. You don't want to put it right on the edge and only to have it fall out after you've glued everything else in. So I've put down about 1.5 inches to 2 inches worth of ribbon in there and then sticky taped it onto the cover. And then what we'll do is get the rest of that in with the hot glue. Once you've heated up your hot glue, make sure everything is in place because that hot glue starts oozing out before you've even had a chance to get anywhere with it. But line everything up, make sure you've got everything in the right spot, and then start maybe from the outside, working your way in, getting that glue in the spine. And once again, this is trial and error. We've got a little overhang of canvas which we've glued as well, and we're going to have to hold that up there for a little while, making sure that that is securely glued down. And it won't take long for that to harden. And then we can go over to the other side and make sure that the other side's definitely glued in as well. Once she's all glued in, she's basically ready to go. You can admire your work and see that all the pages are securely in there. And it's basically done here. All your hard work is paid off, and you should have a book that looks pretty good for a beginner, I think. But yeah, you can make sure that your embellishments, you can add a lot more tassels and things like that if you like. I only went with something simple because, being the first time, I didn't want to go too big. But our bookmarks on the inside, you can use a couple of bookmarks. Some people use a few. And there you go, part 2 concluded of our Book of Shadows bookbinding tutorial for a beginner. I hope you have a lot of good luck putting yours together, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, share and comment, and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm posting more videos. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.